Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Indian higher education, where justice now comes with a demographic seating chart. The UGC has released the Promotion of Equity in Higher Education Institutions Regulation 2026. And if you thought equity meant fairness for everyone, oh, you sweet summer child, this is not equality. This is equality with terms and conditions. And buried in those terms is one of the most fascinating legal magic tricks I've seen in years. Let's talk about how a regulation designed to eliminate discrimination may have accidentally reinvented it. Back in 2012, UGC had regulations focused on preventing discrimination and promoting equity on campuses. Broad language, protective intent, standard anti discrimination framework. Now 2026 arrives, and like every software update you never asked for, it promises better performance. But instead of fixing bugs, it adds features, very specific features. Most notably, Regulation 3C. This is where things get elegant. Regulation 3C defines caste based discrimination as discrimination against scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward classes. Now, pause. The definition doesn't say discrimination on the basis of caste, it says discrimination against specific caste categories. Legally, that's not semantics, that's architecture. Because once you define harm by listing only certain recipients, you implicitly define who cannot be harmed under that category. It's like writing theft is when someone steals from Raj, Priya, and Ahmed. Brilliant. So if someone steals from Vikram, apparently that's a hobby. The law here doesn't ban discriminatory behavior universally. It narrows the victim class. That's not anti discrimination, that's VIP discrimination. Now let's move to the equity committees. Every higher education institution must constitute one, and the committee must include representation from SC, ST, OBC, women, persons with disabilities. Which, to be clear, representation is good, diverse perspectives are good. But here's the statistical miracle: there is exactly one demographic that is not mandated to be represented in any form: general caste men. Not mentioned, not referenced, not even accidentally included. It's like assembling the Avengers and saying everyone's invited except Bruce. No explanation, no footnote, just gone. In a country obsessed with demographic calculation, we have engineered the first mathematically precise exclusion. It's almost beautiful. If exclusion were an Olympic sport, this drafting committee brought home gold. Now, here's my favorite part. The regulation mandates that committee must meet within 24 hours of receiving a complaint. 24 hours. In India, where municipal plot holes have tenures, where RTI replies arrive after your grandchildren retire, but suddenly, boom, administrative lightning. You file a complaint at 9 am. By 9 am tomorrow, there's a committee assembled like it's an emergency G20 meeting. It's the only place in Indian governance where time moves forward. Einstein would be impressed. Here's where the legal brain starts twitching. Anti discrimination law traditionally focuses on the act, not the identity of the victim. If discrimination happens, the system addresses it. Here, however, discrimination becomes conditional. It's not did discrimination occur, it's was it directed at an approved category. Thus, a conceptual shift, and a dangerous one, because once justice becomes identity contingent, neutrality becomes optional, and neutrality is the spine of rule of law. When law starts determining who can be harmed instead of condemning harm universally, we're not strengthening equity, we are rebranding hierarchy. Imagine the equity committee room. You have representatives from SC, from ST, from OBC, from women, from PWD, all present, all legitimate, all important. And there is one invisible chair, reserved for the demographic that does not exist in this framework. It's not that general caste men are barred, they're just statistically evaporated, like they wandered into a legislative Bermuda Triangle. For a regulation about inclusion, the precision of exclusion is breathtaking. Now, let's be clear. The intent behind these regulations is understandable. Historical discrimination is real, structural inequalities are real, representation matters. But when protection mechanisms are written so narrowly that they exclude on their face, you create a paradox. A system designed to prevent discrimination that structurally discriminates in composition. That's not justice, that's drafting hubris. Here's a radical idea. What if grievance redressal was based on the act of discrimination, not the identity of complainant? What if any student from any background experiencing caste based hostility or harassment could seek redress under a neutral definition? Discrimination on the basis of caste, full stop. No selective enumeration, no VIP categories. And what if committees were structured around independence, legal literacy, conflict resolution training, rotational representation, transparency, instead of demographic checkboxes engineering that mathematically excludes one group? Representation and neutrality are not enemies, but neutrality must anchor representation, not the other way around. When equality becomes selective, it stops being equality. When inclusion requires exclusion, it stops being inclusion. And when regulations redefine discrimination so precisely that only certain people can experience it, you don't eliminate bias, you formalize it. Welcome to the 2026 upgrade. Same campus politics, better formatting. And somewhere in an equity committee room, there's still one empty chair, probably reserved for logic. See you next semester.